Hello and welcome to Stamping Cat Crew. Today we're going to make this lots of lavender card, but I wanted to do something a little different. There have been lots of little, I call them grungy background stamps that have been used to create wreaths, and that's kind of what I thought of when I saw the really abstract look of this watercolor fill-in. This is the Lots of Lavender set. So this is the actual stamp that's supposed to go with it, and this is the fill-in color. For that watercolor effect. And what I chose to do is to make a wreath out of it using Pear Pizzazz ink. So we're going to show you how I did that. And then all of the little pieces I've got here, I've already colored and fussy cut them. So the main teaching focal today is just a little abstract wreath. And you can do this with a lot of different stamp sets, actually. So the more you look at these, the more you're going to be like, wow, that makes absolute sense. What I did is I made a scallop circle, and I used the new 1 3/8 inch scallop circle punch. Then whatever temporary adhesive that you have, there are lots of ones that if you let them dry totally, they can come right up. And we used to carry one, I think it was called Dado or something. So that's the one I'm using, but there's lots of different ones that you can choose. Now I'm going to center that vaguely onto here, and I just want to get an idea of my spacing. I think that's pretty good. So really, I'm going to fast forward through this. I'm going to show you a few, and then I'm going to speed it up because I just kept going around in circles until I got the look that I wanted. So I'm going to ink up, and I'm going to show you a few of the ones that I did. And we're going to layer that down, and then we're going to pick that up, and we're going to turn. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to layer that down. And I'm going to keep going around in circles. And then also what I did is, you'll see right here, I've been stopping just in front. So when I go around like the second time, I'm actually going off of the edge on both sides. And that's going to give it a darker border inside. So you can just watch the process. I'll speed it up, but it'll still be visible what I'm doing. Okay, so mostly done. We've got a couple of edges that showed up, and I had that in my first one too, if you get going too fast and you get some ink around the edges. And so what I did is I chose to put leaves in those places, which I did in Old Olive. So we're going to add a couple. And then we're just kind of sprinkling these around. And then our main focal, we're going to lift this up. We used for our mask. Then we've got a couple of the berries that are here we're going to sprinkle around, but first we're going to put on our focal point. So I've cut out 3 of these flowers, and I've got a bow, and I've got 4 sets of these leaves with the berries, and then I took the very end off of another bow here. So these are the points from this bow, and they would go like this. So the flowers came from this stamp set right here, and the leaves came from the stamp set. So I've done them in the black, and then I went back with a blends tool to pick up from the Wisteria Wonder from the inside, and then also Perfect Plum around there. So the sentiment that we used is actually from Heartfelt Sympathy, and it's remembering the life of someone so special and sending thoughts of sympathy and peace. So we use that same sentiment on here, but I want to flowers first. We're doing a little bit of overlapping for those because these are pretty much our main focal right here. And then we've got the leaves on here, and I'm going to take a little bit of our two-way glue. And I'm going to add just to the bottom. There we go. And we don't want to get too much. So we want our leaves to still be up. So I'm going to just tuck the edges barely underneath the flower. I'm going to do the same thing for all 4 of those, and we'll speed up the camera a little. Okay, so that's what we have for so far, and then our final step is to take the Elegant Eggplant ink. I'm going to add a few dots of the color around. And then our sentiment, of course. And that one is also done in the Elegant Eggplant. So we want to get it nice and inked up. But since we're stamping direct to the card, we don't want any ink around the edges. So we'll see how I do without getting my head in the camera. I'll do my best to place this where it needs to be. And then straight down and straight back up with even pressure, no rocking. So that'll give you a much better stamped image. And that's it. That's the focal point of our card. I've already done the base, and I used parts of the same elements that we did in the wreath on the edge of the card. I've done the base as a portrait fold. So it's 11.5 by 4.25 scored and folded in half at 5.5. Got some Very Vanilla on the inside, which you can stamp up, and got some Perfect Plum here. And then all we're going to do is add a layer of adhesive. And I actually usually add it to the back of that, but since there's components still drying, I'm going to add it to this layer. And because it's just 1/8 of an inch in, we don't have to worry too much about having that show through. We're going to center that right on there. And that's it. That's our completed wreath card using the Heartfelt Sympathy and the Lots of Lavender 2018 Celebration set. So we've done it just in shades of purple and green, and I hope you liked today's tutorial. Thanks so much for stopping by. Happy creating!